Hello, Tejanos. Luz here with you again, this time to discuss Blackboard assignments. The assignment tool in Blackboard is a great way for you to manage the submissions of student coursework. I mentioned in a previous video that you should never have students submit coursework through email or course messages, partly because one, it can be difficult to track, but two, you'd have to download it, grade it physically, etc. The assignment tool has some great benefits to it. One, it allows students to upload their finished product in one location. It allows you to grade those submissions right on Blackboard. You can use the inline grading tools to mark up the paper. You can use Safe Assign, which is a tool that checks the originality of the paper. In other words, it catches plagiarism. Three, it allows you to grade the assignment using a rubric, which helps streamline grading, but also helps keep grading consistent and objective. And four, it allows you to provide some pretty good feedback through the rubric in written comments. You can even use the audio-video feedback tool to leave up to 5 minutes of audio-video feedback so your students can hear you and see you leaving them some feedback. So it's a great tool. You don't have to print anything. You don't have to carry stacks of papers home. You can grade it all in Blackboard. You hit submit, the grade goes straight to the gradebook. It goes straight to the student grades where they can see their feedback and you are done. So it really helps streamline the grading process. So what kinds of assignments can you give? So in the assignment tool in Blackboard Original, all you can really do is have students upload a finished product. And the best thing to do with that is to have students specifically upload assignments using Word. Students may have a variety of different word processing tools on their computers, and not all of them are compatible with Blackboard. So to avoid any issues, make sure you tell students that they need to upload all their work in Word, and remind them that they can get Word for free at EPCC. They can call the IT help desk at EPCC at 831-6440, and they can help them download Word and the entire Microsoft suite onto their computers. Okay, so let's go into Blackboard and see how to create an assignment. Now, an assignment can be as complicated as, a 7-page research paper, or as simple as submitting, a half a page summary or response to a question, to some kind of worksheet. Now, worksheets do get a bad rap sometimes, and that comes from, the K through 12, where you gave students worksheets to keep them busy. I tried to avoid that as much as I could as a high school teacher, but whenever I had a substitute teacher, the best way to keep my students out of the sub's hair and vice versa was to give them some kind of worksheet to keep them busy, right? But a worksheet can really engage students. It can also really have them apply critical thinking if it's constructed the right way, right? So worksheets aren't necessarily all bad. It's all about how they're created. So you can even upload a worksheet. Students download it, fill it out, and then upload it again to Blackboard. So I'll show you how to do that. So I am going to build my assignment here in the week of March 30th folder. I'm going to continue working on this folder. If you notice, I've cleaned up the folder just a little bit. I made my image a little smaller. I added some more files for my students to help them get through chapter 8, an outline, a PowerPoint. I do want to remind you that anytime you add new content to your file, it does add it to the bottom of the list, but you can drag and rearrange any content you want by simply hovering to the left of that item, grabbing that purple bar and dragging it up. So you can rearrange content in any way using that purple bar. If it's too difficult, for example, if you're using a laptop or you've lost some dexterity in your hands like I do sometimes with my arthritis, you can come over here to the top right-hand corner. You'll see an up and down facing arrow. And if you hover your mouse over it, it'll say Keyboard Accessible Reordering. You can simply click on that. Everything that's on this page will appear here, and you can click on something and move it down or up and hit submit. And notice it'll tell you your items have been reordered and they're now in the order that you chose them to be. So remember, any new content is added to the bottom. The content is also placed in an order showing how learning is building. It's scaffolded. So I have my objectives first, the to-do list, some documents to help students get through the chapter, the video to kind of review the content. And now my next item is having them apply what they've learned. And that's where my assignment is going to come in. Now it's going to be very, very important in an online course that you engage your students on a weekly basis. By engagement, I mean that you have them complete some kind of gradable assignment on a weekly basis. That's very, very important for online classes because it does two things. One, it creates engagement. It makes students come back into the course and engage with the content, engage with you, the instructor, engage with their classmates in case you're using a discussion board. So it keeps them coming back on a weekly basis. They can't just check out for 2 weeks, okay? So you must give students some kind of gradable assignment on a weekly basis. That could be an assignment, that could be a quiz, that could be a discussion, but they have to do something in Blackboard. The second thing that does is it helps us keep attendance. It's difficult to keep attendance in an online course. And it used to be that logging in was enough. It's no longer enough. Title IV regulations and regulations for accreditation and other rules that EPCC must follow. A lot of them are saying now that logging into Blackboard alone does not count as attendance. So the student must actively engage in the course. So that means you have to have them do something. It can be as simple as a 10-question quiz, but as long as you engage them. So for this particular week, the week of March the 30th for Chapter 8, I'm going to have them engage in the course by submitting an assignment, okay? Now, you don't want to give an assignment and a discussion and a quiz the same week. That's too much work. You can also overburden your students with coursework. Don't forget, yours is not the only course they're taking. So one gradable assignment is typically enough to engage them in the course. What that gradable work is entirely up to you. Again, discussion, a quiz, an assignment, whatever that happens to be. But just make sure that you have record of it in the gradebook. You gave them a grade for that week. Okay, so I'm going to get off my soapbox on that and let's talk about creating assignments. So at the top of my folder, remember, you have to create your assignments in a content folder. I have here build content, but assignments are not content. An assignment is an assessment. So now I'm going to use this tab here called assessments. Assessment is simply a check for learning. And I'm going to select assignment. Okay. So I need to give my assignment a title, but the title needs to be intuitive. The student needs to know that that assignment belongs to Chapter 8. Now I could simply say Chapter 8 assignment, right? But I want students to be able to begin to connect the content to the assignment. So I can certainly say Chapter 8 assignment, but I'm going to say Constitution Scavenger Hunt. Now students are very clear what that assignment is about, and it connects to Chapter 8 because Chapter 8 in our textbook is all about the writing of the Constitution of the United States of America. Okay, so I've given my assignment a title. I'll be able to recognize what that assignment is very easily. And now in this box here, the text box, I need to write instructions. They need to be concise. They need to be thorough. They need to be clear. Okay. And I need to explain to students not just what to do, but how to do it. Remember, we cannot assume students know how to use Blackboard. Okay, so we always have to prepare for that. So I can say something like, first start with an objective, right? In this assignment, you will learn more about the Constitution of the United States of America. And again, my spelling here. Okay. So I'm going to continue to say what the assignment is, first of all, right? And I can state the objective. This will help you learn more about, right? That's the whole point. This is the why of my assignment. Now I need to tell them what to do. right? Attached to this assignment is a Word document with a scavenger hunt. I can't type and talk at the same time, right? Download it and save it to your computer. Open the file and type in, I should say type in, much more simple. Type in answers to the questions in a word or phrase, whatever is required, right? When complete, return to this assignment and attach your completed scavenger hunt to submit your assignment, something to that nature, okay? So what I want to do is use short sentences. I did provide you a video about writing for accessibility. We want to write short sentences. We want to break up large chunks of text, bullets, use bullets if I can. So I want to be, again, concise, very specific, and thorough with my instructions, okay? So I need to tell them everything they need to do for this assignment in this description here, okay? Once I'm done providing instructions and directions, I'm going to scroll down. Now, if this were just an essay, I wouldn't need to attach anything. But in this case, let me show you here. In this case, I want to attach this scavenger hunt here to the assignment because they need to complete this scavenger hunt by looking at the discussion board, looking at the Constitution, the back of their book, and that's something I failed to add to the instructions, right? I would need to add here, use the Constitution, it's found at the end of your textbook. And so I want to attach this Word document. So I'm going to browse my computer, and I need to find where I saved it. I think I saved it here. Scavenger hunt. Okay, so here it is now attached, scavenger hunt. Okay, now I need to provide a due date. Always provide due dates to students for two reasons. One, they need to know when the assignment is due, correct? But it also adds it to the calendar in Blackboard. And if the student is using the Blackboard app, it gives them push notifications that something is upcoming, something is due soon, okay? The other thing it'll do is if you add a due date to it, if a student submits it late, Blackboard will tell you that it is late. It'll still accept the assignment, but it will mark it as late, and it'll be up to you if you choose to accept it or not, or you can choose to accept it with penalties. It all depends on what your policy is on your syllabus, okay? So I'm going to set a due date. So the week started March the 30th. So the chapter opened here. So let's say I want to give them till Sunday night to submit it, which would be April the 5th. I'm going to select April the 5th, and I will give them until the end of day to submit it, which is 11:59 p.m. Okay, so they have almost the entire week to read the chapter, watch the video or videos, review the PowerPoints, all these things. The week is going to end with a check for learning to do this assignment. So there is my due date. Now I have to select grades, points possible. A lot of us work on a scale of 0 to 100. Some of you work in points, so you can give it out of 100. If this assignment is worth 5 points, you can give 5 points, whatever your grading scale is, okay? Now, if this were an essay, I could attach a rubric, and in the next lesson, I'll show you how to create a rubric very quickly, and I would select it here. I can create it from here, but it's good practice to create your rubric first and then come and attach it. I'll show you how to do that next, but this particular assignment does not require a rubric, okay? So I have that, points possible, submission details. Now I can click here. I have a couple of options. Is this an individual submission or is this a group submission? This is individual. Each student is going to select their own or submit their own assignment. You can give multiple attempts, okay? We never suggest unlimited attempts. You can do multiple attempts. So I can say I can give them 2 attempts, okay? Now, typically for an assignment like this worksheet, I would not give them multiple attempts. In what situations would you want to give them multiple attempts? For an essay or a research paper. Perhaps the first attempt is a draft. You're going to send it back to the student with feedback. Then they submit the final draft. The second attempt is their final draft. And in that case, if you do multiple attempts, Blackboard's going to ask you, which of these graded ones do you want to accept? The last one, the highest one, the lowest one, the first graded, or do you want to do an average? That is entirely up to you. So if it was a draft and then the final paper, you actually want to accept the grade of the last graded attempt. Perhaps you want to do an average of the 2 so that students take both of them seriously, or the highest. The first draft should not be the highest grade, right? It shouldn't. But this is great for things like quizzes. In this case, this is a worksheet, so I am going to do a single attempt, okay? Also, if this were an essay, I would want to check my submissions for plagiarism. And I'll show you how to do that when we talk about grading papers. But if this were an essay or a research paper, I would want to check this box to make sure that they are not plagiarizing. And I'll show you how to do that soon. Okay. Grading options. If these were an essay, you could also enable anonymous grading. It would not allow you to see the student name, and you can grade without any kind of preconceived notions just by looking at students' names. And display of grades. So whenever you create gradable content in Blackboard, the column is automatically created for you in the gradebook. Okay, so I want the primary score to show, or primary grade to show as a score. So I'm going to leave that as it is. You can select a secondary grade or display, but the student won't be able to see that. Only you'll be able to see that. So the one that really matters is the primary display grade, okay? By default, include in the grade center calculations is checked for you. That means that it's going to create a column in the gradebook. The second option here shows that students will be able to see their grade as soon as you post grades. And this last option here, show an average. Students don't care about average and median statistics. All they care about is their grade. So we've never encouraged faculty to check this particular button. And at the very end of your settings, you do want to make the assignment available. Do you want to limit availability? Do you want it to open or close in a specific time or date? You don't have to set this if your folder is already set to open in a specific time or day. And always track the number of views, always track. I can give you a perfect example because it happened to me. I had a student who told me once that he did not take, was it a he or she? It was a he. He did not take the test because he didn't see it. It must have been missing, or I must have closed it, whatever it was. But because I turned on the tracking, I pulled a report, and the report showed that the student clicked on that test link on a particular day and time. He didn't take it, but he did click on it, which means he saw it. So the story he was giving me that he never saw it did not hold water because I had the proof there. So always, always, always turn on tracking. It helps you keep data in your course, but it'll also help you in those kinds of situations where a student claims that, again, Blackboard ate the assignment. Nope, you clicked on it yesterday at 11:01 a.m., right? So always turn on tracking and then hit submit, and you've just created an assignment. So the assignment is going to be added to the bottom of my list. Notice the icon is different for assignments. So it says Chapter 8 assignment here. It's clickable. Here is the attached file, and then the assignments instructions are here. If you need to make changes in your assignment, you can always select here. You can always select edit, go back. You can change the title of the assignment. You can add or take away from the instructions or clarify. You can attach the correct document. You can attach more documents, change the due date. Anything that you need to edit here, you can edit and then just hit submit, and it'll keep those changes. So that is how you create an assignment. Okay. That's it for this particular lesson. In the next lesson, I'll show you how to create a rubric. Think about best practices for creating assignments. There's a video that gives you some ideas. If you need help with what kinds of assignments you can give students in an online environment, talk to your colleagues who teach your subject area, who already teach online. Perhaps they can share an idea with you or even share an assignment with you, some of the materials. There are a lot of faculty who are very generous and are very willing and open to sharing. If you teach history, I'm willing to help you with anything that I may have. But ask your colleagues. EPCC is full of great faculty who care about students and care about learning and teaching, and would be happy to help you with that. Okay, so that is how you create an assignment. The next couple of videos will also be dealing with assignments, but different aspects of assignments. So continue practicing, continue learning. If you need help with building assignments, call the Blackboard Help Desk. Thank you.